Now some things go together, don't they? Like chalk and cheese and ant and deck. And of course, let's not forget running and solar panels. Okay, let's talk about solar panels. Now this is part of my Project Green series, where I'm trying to see how far I can go in kind of getting rid of fossil fuels from my life. And solar panels is of course one of the ways that you can do that. Now, unlike some of the other things that we're going to be talking about in this series, like heat pumps and EVs, this solar panels is the only one where I already have some experience, because I've actually had solar panels on my house since 2012. So I think I can kind of talk not just about the benefits of solar panels, I think we can probably all work out what those are, but also I can talk about how it's been for me and how I've done with it over the last 10 years at the time of recording this. So a quick bit of background. Solar panels, they are photovoltaics, and quite simply the sun shines and they convert that sun into direct current, which is then converted to alternating current, which can then power things in your house or send back to the grid or whatever. But you basically have a panel sitting on your roof. Now, it's important, of course, that your house is facing, or part of your roof at least, in a direction that's good for the sun. My panels are not necessarily ideally placed. I've got 8 panels in 2 groups of 4, and one group of 4 is facing sort of due south, the other panels, 4 panels, are facing kind of southwest. And we think the south ones would be great. However, the other roof with the other panels on is slightly obscuring that one with shade in the morning, so I don't really get the best out of my panels until maybe the afternoon. So, you know, that obviously limits the amount of energy that I can produce. There are other differences as well between a system when I got it and a system that you might get it now. Now I'll talk about the UK. Things might be different wherever you are in the world. Now here in the UK, when I got my system, there was something at the time called the feed-in tariff. You can't get that now. And the idea is, it was like a government incentive. They often do that with new technologies, because when they first come out, they're expensive and they're difficult to justify really spending the money on. So they have these incentives to kind of encourage people to get them. And then as the technology improves and the price comes down, so the incentives are withdrawn. And that's what's happened to the FIT tariff. So when I got mine, I was able to sign up for this FIT tariff, and it means that every kilowatt hour of energy that I produce, whether I use it or not, I get paid for it. Now in 2022, energy that you produce, because the FIT scheme doesn't exist, you won't get paid for it. You can use it, of course. You get paid for energy that you don't use and you send back to the grid. You might say that's a bit unfair. However, of course, systems now can be a lot cheaper, and also the system can generally be more powerful in a smaller area. So take my system for example, it's 1.6 kilowatts, and the average for a system now is closer to 4 kilowatts. So you can see the difference there. Also, when I got my system, you weren't allowed to use batteries with it. That's changed now, and excess power that you produce, you can put into batteries. Tesla batteries are quite common, and then you can use that power in the evening. There we go, run complete. I'll stick the times up on the screen. Just did a 5k today, slow and steady, and I think where I am at the moment, I'm quite happy with that. It's very nice actually here in the woods because it's sheltered. There's a light breeze, but because you don't really get the breeze in the woods, but I think I'd rather take the shade any day. Lots of people on the beach. It's busy down there. It would have been nice to run along the beach, but it's quite sandy on there, and you've got to be careful turning your foot over, haven't you? Something like that. But nice and firm here through the woods. Very nice. Okay, so summarise with these solar panels then. I suppose the question is it worth it? And can I say, after having had a system for 10 years, is it worth it? Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because obviously the payments I was talking about is different now to how it was 10 years ago. So for me, I get paid for every kilowatt hour that I produce. And even though my system is really small by modern standards, it's still enough actually to power all the items in my house a lot of the time, particularly during the summer, even the spring and autumn to a certain extent. I can have all my computer equipment on, so I work from home for myself, so I've got various pieces of computer equipment that are on. There might be, well, there's going to be, I've got 2 freezers, there's a fridge, about 5 billion things stuck on standby, as we all have these days, and there might be, I don't know, a phone or a tablet or something on charge, and I can still then sometimes maybe put on the dishwasher or the washing machine and find that my smart meter is still saying 0 for my electricity. So that's good. It does kind of change the way that you look at things actually, because take that dishwasher for example, I'm much more likely to run it in the afternoon when I know that the panels can power it than put it on, say, first thing in the morning. It's difficult with washing because, you know, you might want to put the washing out. So that's a bit difficult, but you know, you kind of adapt, you kind of work out what's to do for the best. When it comes to the payments, I can safely say that right up until the end of 2021, so the kind of almost 10 years that I'd had the system at that point, I'd actually earned more money with the FIT payments than I'd spent on electricity. So although I'm not generating all of the power for my system or to power everything in my house, I am, financially speaking, I have enough there to cover my electricity. So I've had free electricity, that's what I'm trying to say, for the last decade, and of course that's no bad thing. Now with the prices going up, they've kind of doubled or whatever it is recently, because my system is quite small, I think that there is every chance that I will having to start paying for some of my electric. But of course it does help the fact with these prices going up that any energy that I use means that that's energy that I don't have to pull in from the grid, so you know, that's a good thing. There will be more electricity requirements for my house in due course, and I will be talking about the reasons why in future Project Green videos my electricity usage is going to go up. So we'll see what happens there. But has it been worth it? Hell yes, it has been worth it, yeah, definitely. Is it worth it with the way the systems are set up now? Well, only you can decide that according to your use. Now I work from home for myself, so I'm there all day. You might be out all day at work, maybe. You might not be using particularly anything in your house. So you might need a system with a battery. Batteries are quite expensive, but then you could store the energy that you've generated during the day and then use it when you are at home in the evening. I will be talking, when I talk about EVs, electric vehicles, I will be talking about something called V2H, vehicle to home, to do with battery power. So if you're interested in all that kind of thing, do subscribe, because V2H is very interesting. Yeah, I mean, with a bigger system, it might very well be worth it, but you need to do the calculations. One bit of warning that I will give you, one thing to look out for: when you get a system, a solar power system, you'll get somebody come round and they will work out how much your system should generate. That's what happened to me. Now unfortunately, the people who did were going to put my system in messed up the calculations, and they worked out the figures based on a system that was optimal, all 8 panels that I've got being in the optimal direction and getting maximum sun morning through since the afternoon, which, as I've already said earlier, is not the case in my house. It's not the case at all. So they messed it up, and I thought there was something wrong with the system, and no, they mucked up the figures. Now of course I based my purchasing decision on those figures. So, you know, to cut a very long story short, I took them to an independent arbitration scheme for mis-selling, and I actually won that, and they had to pay me some compensation, which amounted to about a fifth of the cost of the system, which is fine. Now if I factor that in, together with the money that I've earned from running the system, it paid for itself in about 7 years. But actually it paid for itself a lot quicker than that, because the energy company can't tell me how much of the power I generated I actually used, if that makes sense. They don't know. They know how much I've generated, but they don't know how much of that what percentage of that I've actually used. And of course, the percentage that I've used is all energy that I didn't have to get off the grid. So I've saved myself money by not having to get that energy from the grid to power whatever it was that my solar panels were powering. Does that make sense? So in actual fact, they paid themselves a lot sooner than 7 years. How much sooner? No idea. I would imagine it did wipe. It probably did wipe. It's more than weeks, it's more than months, it could be years it wiped off. So, you know, I mean, could I pluck a figure out of there? Could I say it paid for itself in 4 or 5 years? Maybe 6 years tops. Certainly no more than 7 anyway. So was it worth it? Yes, absolutely, definitely. Is it worth it now with the prices? Yes, 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 yes it is. And will it be worth it for you? Don't know, only you can decide. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. There's a lot of waffle there, there's a lot to take in. If you have any questions about solar panels, post them. I'm not an expert, but post them down below and I will try my bestest to answer those questions. Next time on Project Green, we're going to be talking about heat pumps. People are using those to replace their gas boilers, and with the cost of gas at the moment, it's a really interesting subject. So if you're interested in that, and also coming later on, as I said earlier, we've got EVs coming up later on as well. Lots to talk about in Project Green. And of course, there's the running as well. I'll also continue talking about my running journey. Got a half marathon coming up in about 4 months. So yeah, that's getting a bit close. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the like, hit subscribe, and I will see you for another update next week.